I think at the moment, looking at the task ahead is very daunting because it's an old zoo which hasn't been taken care of, with a staff that really needs a total overhaul, with an organizational structure which needs to be overhauled, with even a structure, and maybe it should be taken away from the city, turned into a private institution, to allow more flexibility. But I think once those things are all put into place, which would only take 1 or 2 years, then I think it has the potential to move quite rapidly. And I think you can realize a lot of things quite quickly. You could actually restructure the zoo and redevelop it in 10 years. So it could be a brand new zoo with a brand new focus, a brand new name, and looking wonderful. You know. I would like to see, when we look at master planning in the future, I would like to see us actually uncover a lot of the original, maybe, designs, and take away a lot of the newer, very bad designs, which are actually just rows and rows of very boring cages, which are not even functional. Clear a lot of that, and then uncover some of the more majestic enclosures, which were, I think, designed, and then develop on it. And then having those 2 new valleys, which would be very interesting to do some very wild kind of experiences. Yeah, I think it has a great deal of potential, and I think especially Rubin's general sort of thinking about focusing on the Caucasus or the Southern Caucasus, or certainly animals of this region, would be a very useful thing, because it allows you then to display animals all seasons. They're hardy, they would be relatively easy to display. It would give you a focus which would give you more potential to be a tourist attraction. But at the same time, you'd probably want a couple of non-Caucasus exhibits which people would want to see, because you always want to see things from other countries. I would position, that's why strategically I would say that you should start to be positioning the zoo as a tourist attraction for the future. Besides that, obviously, look at the scientific, the educational institute aspect of what can be done now. This new enclosure embodies a lot of very modernistic thinking in design, where the barriers are invisible, and the animals are looking as though they're in their natural habitat, yet it's functional and very vegetated, and the people are immersed in the same environment as the animals. And there are live trees and a lot of vegetation and water and things like that. It's a very important project that you're undertaking, and that's why actually I've been also pushing it to try and get it to be as natural as possible. I think it will, and that's important because this will be your first showcase piece of the new zoo. And now the modern zoo is, we've actually saying, let's copy nature, let's try and replicate it as closely as possible. And let's put the animals in a naturalistic environment. It doesn't mean that by putting an animal in a naturalistic environment that the animal is happy. And so it's also, one has to be very concerned about the welfare of that animal and ensuring that you cover all its needs. So you have to look at its social stimulation, and also its environmental enrichment, and look at ways to enrich it, to stop it from becoming bored in captivity. So if it's provided everything, in other words, if the animal exhibit is a replica, a total replica of its natural habitat, then technically, although it's very difficult for us to measure, technically it should be a happy animal because it's doing exactly what it's doing in the wild. But in captivity, it's like, and in a nice zoo, actually you're even doing better, because you're not only replicating all that, it's like going to Club Med because you're actually giving them much easier. They don't have to be watching out for predators, eating them and things like that. So technically they should be even happier.